Transportation is a huge user of power, and there are many different energy use sectors, but transportation uses the most. Compare how much power we used to the amount of power transportation uses. It's like comparing a Durant to a Wailord. And that's for the Pokemon fans out there. Because of the obscene amount of power transportation uses, they need to make the change to clean, renewable energy. When it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, one of the main contributors is transportation, since most vehicles are still powered in some way that is harmful to the environment. Changing that to clean energy would shoot down greenhouse gas emissions at a fast rate. But wait, stop right there. Don't think you shouldn't switch to renewable energy just because you have far less of an impact compared to a big company. It's just that it's more important that big companies, like the transportation industry, switch instead, since it'll make a far bigger positive impact. And that's great. Yay!
Vehicle Energy Overview.
We can start off by saying which types of renewable energy fit a certain vehicle the best and the worst. Of course, wind turbines are the least viable for each one, because, for example, how would that work on a tractor? Anyways, that's besides the point. For a light plane, batteries are the most viable because they offer a clean, efficient, and cost-effective solution for small aircrafts, especially considering the sustainability in aviation. Wind turbines are the least viable because they can take up a lot of space, they weigh a lot, and they're inefficient. For a commercial plane, hydrogen fuel cells are the most viable because they provide a lot of energy and can last long distances when traveling abroad. They also don't use a lot of weight and space and still provide a lot of energy. Wind turbines are the least viable because there isn't always enough wind to generate power and it takes up a lot of space/weight. For a large cargo ship, hydrogen fuel cells are the most viable because they generate a lot of energy to power a big ship. They also are very good with generating power for long voyages. Wind turbines are the least viable because of their space and design constraints, low energy density, and inconsistency. For a freight train/locomotive, hydrogen fuel cells are the most viable source because it has a long operating range, high energy density, and quick refueling so trains can get quickly on their schedule and services. Wind turbines are the least viable because they can take up a lot of space that trains don't have because they need space to store things and have passengers. For a big rig tractor, batteries are the most viable because it can be used for long usages and only needs a couple of recharge stops. Wind turbines would be the least viable because it's very heavy and would slow the tractor down and consume more energy. For a passenger car, batteries would be the most viable because there are many vehicles already using batteries as a renewable energy source, which proves that it's very efficient. They also don't have to rely on weather conditions to function. Wind turbines are the least viable because they would not be able to fit in a passenger car.
Vehicle Part.
My vehicle is a Honda Pilot. The current method of powering the vehicle is the 3.5-liter V6 engine. The replacement renewable power system is batteries. We think this is the best option because it doesn't need that much space, and there are many battery charging infrastructures for electric vehicles. Batteries are also highly efficient and are an increasingly cost-effective way to power the passenger cars. The power they generate is 16,865,818.667 watts, or 16,865.81866 kilowatts. Batteries would work well in replacing the current system because they are very efficient and are already being used in many passenger cars. They don't take up a lot of space, and there are many charging stations for batteries. The downside of using batteries is the limited range it provides, the amount of time it takes to charge, and the production of batteries having environmental costs.
Woo!
I forgot to record, but my vehicle is Panamax vessel.
The Panamax vessel is a cargo ship that currently uses slow-speed, two-stroke diesel engines, but it can also run on hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells generate a lot of power with high energy density, making them efficient for long voyages. They take up little space and can be installed in the engine room or a dedicated machinery space on the lower deck. One major advantage is that hydrogen fuel cells produce no carbon emissions, making them an eco-friendly alternative However, there are challenges, such as high cost, limited hydrogen supply chains, and safety concerns. Despite these issues, hydrogen fuel cells offer a promising future of sustainable shipping.
The Australian Standard Garrett is the vehicle that I will be analyzing. And if anybody was wondering, I chose it because young Sheldon loves trains.
I was going through our phantom taxes and noticed our Grimace shakes were up 12% compared to last quarter. Any idea why?
The Australian Standard Garrett is a steam locomotive. So basically, you burn coal in the process to power it, and as we know, burning coal is bad. So, the replacement renewable power system for the steam locomotive is the hydrogen fuel cell. The reason why I think the hydrogen fuel cell is the best option is because the train wouldn't have to bear much weight. And think about it. Charging stations could be implemented at every stop, so if the train needs to charge, it can do so at its next stop. Plus, think of the other benefits. The hydrogen fuel cell would be more efficient, long usages, and it creates lots of power. Plus, best of all, no harsh emissions! As great as renewable energy is, there are some downsides. Those downsides being the production of hydrogen fuel cells is pretty costly. Plus, the safety portion is pretty alarming too, considering hydrogen is a very flammable substance, so extreme caution is needed. Now, as far as where exactly in this train these hydrogen fuel cells would be, they would be here, and there. Basically, everywhere where the old engine was. Now we have reached the math portion, so get excited for some numbers, where we will find out how many hydrogen fuel cells can fit in this engine. So, after I did the math, it turns out that we can fit 1,696,159.41758, or we can round it up to about 1,696,000, because we have 3 sig figs, so, and you know we love sig figs. But go back to before we rounded it up, since we're not done. So, now we multiply that amount by the amount the fuel cell generates, and then we can get a grand total of 317,605.850942 watts. And then we can round that up to about 318,000 watts, and that's the grand total of the amount of power that the fuel cells would generate that would fit in that engine.
Conclusion. Part 1. Dynamics.
For next year's students, double check your measurements to avoid calculation mistakes. Communicate effectively and divide tasks evenly because stay organized, research couple times to make sure it's the right thing, and use credible sources to make your presentation stronger. And most importantly, lock in. What worked well for us was teamwork and idea sharing, making our project more creative and informative. But next time, we'd manage our time better. Because, let's be honest, Maya was watching Subway Surfers gameplay.
Part 2.
Replacing fossil fuels with renewable energy is key to fighting climate change. Cargo ships have a huge environmental impact. Think about the fish, which is why we believe hydrogen fuel cells are the future of shipping. While some companies are testing this, range is still a challenge that needs solving. Passenger cars have made the most progress with electric vehicles, but issues like charging and battery range remain. In the future, better batteries or charging networks will make electric vehicles more reliable, helping us fighting pollution and climate change.
Thank you for watching.